Alright, more books. Let's do this.
Dagda War.
Dagda War Journal Excerpt. Great Tree Moon, Imperial Year 731. Our fleet departed Bridget without incident. Blessed with calm seas, we saw the land of Dagda rising up before us. Beyond a startlingly white beach lay dense and ominous winds. Our information indicated that a settlement should be nearby, but there were no signs of people or boats, let alone any sort of structure. We pondered whether to turn our rudder north or south. Do you want to read this too?
No, I'm good. I'm just reading.
Okay. Suddenly there was a flurry of arrows. The enemy was shooting at us from between the trees. Caught unaware, many men were struck. I rushed to lift my shield. However, we soon realized the arrows lacked in both number and force. The Dagdan army has lost many soldiers in Bach, and then Bridget. They had strength enough to mount a defense of sorts, but perhaps this would be easier than we had thought. The third fleet, led by Viscount Heimer's son, was drawn into an inlet, an enemy trap. How could he not have seen it? We had intended to veer around the eastern tip of the cape, but through the fog we saw there was a coast to the south as well. With nowhere to go, our ships careened into each other. The lead ship was capsizing, seemingly run aground. Before our very eyes, our comrades. The sea was aflame. What sorcery is this? The flames were like a giant serpent. A great serpent, its tongue flickering towards our ships. In the open sea, the enemy fleet surrounded us. None of us would make it home alive if we could not break through somehow. Though, considering how the Emperor will react to our defeats, perhaps it would be best to die here anyway. Still, we cannot abandon our pride. Bridget has turned on us and sank half of our ships that attempted to dock in their port. It pains me to say that all we can do now is run. Bridget only threw in with us after Dagda's losses. Now that the tide has turned, they've thrown in with what Dagda again, savage islanders. Their king never intended to honor our agreement for a second. We should never have. I can see Nouvelle. We live to tell the tale. We returned with less than the 10th of his ships. We set sail from Ginnung with. We were well and truly decimated. What's more, we lost Bridget as an ally. The Dagdas are truly fearsome. They dance in the air and set fire to sea. One moment they frolic in the woods, and next you see their fangs. Just what are they? Huh. Military history of Parthathlon. Harpstring Moon, year 892. The Sarang people mounted a large-scale invasion. They crossed the Ruska Mountains in the north and descended south into Fargus. King Bangfig built a string of strongholds along the north of his domain, from Bladed to Fardalius, including Connad Tower. Woodburn Moon, year 895. Having finally forced Sarang to retreat, Fargus was in position to counterattack. However, Sarang's resistance and the harsh snowy conditions caused them to abandon their attack. Thus, hostilities drew to a close. After the campaign, a young and fierce general by the name of Laetitia Zoe Gautier, royal knight and descendant of the elite hero Gautier, was widely praised. Great Tree Moon, year 896. Banfig considers the north part of his territory on Laetitia. She is given a title of Margrave and task while defending Fargus's border. Laetitia sets to work strengthening defenses in the north, constructing strongholds throughout the Ruska Mountains on the border with Sarang. and reclaiming the Lance of Ruin from the Church of Saros. Verdant Rain Moon, year 1169. Having waited for summer, King Lambert joins with northern lords Gautier and Fardelius to march on Serain. The kingdom army sets up camp in a single stronghold within Ruska Mountains and opens hostilities with the Serain army. The kingdom army is progressing northwest with the peninsula, but while engaging with the Serain chief Oleg and his forces, a gigantic battle suddenly enters the fray. It lays waste to both sides. Lambert sustains a grave injuries, and Oleg disappears into a ravine. Oleg's son offers his own youngest child, Leaf, as a prisoner to House Gautier to broker peace. Why do I feel like Leaf should be a very important character we should pay attention to?
Wait a minute. Does Three Houses take place in the same country as Leaf's story?
I don't know.
It must at this point.
That would be weird.
Because we know Leaf's story is nowhere near Marth's country. We know that much.
True. I guess they're making references to other games. Alright. The death of King Klaus. Chapter 9, A Royal Dilemma. With King Klaus on his deathbed, stricken with fever, Prince Crawford's troubles were just beginning. So sudden was his great father's illness that the king had yet to decide which of his sons would succeed him. Crawford's eldest brother, Bonfig, was a talented warrior and military strategist, but was also a gentle soul with no desire for war or power. Leadership would not suit him. His younger brother, Kite, had his father's wisdom and was able to remain cool and calculating no matter the situation. However, that was precisely why the knights regarded him as too cold-hearted. Unlike his brother, Crawford lacked a crest and thus the strength befitting a member of the royal family, so he had never seriously considered challenging either of his brothers for the throne. However, the thought of one of his brothers dying in a struggle for succession was almost more than he could bear. One day, Klaus's sister, Morianne, found a note supposedly written by her brother. It said simply, "He who is most beloved by the people shall have the throne," in what was unmistakably Klaus's handwriting. This brief note would become the impetus and for a tragic and bloody war of succession. When the fighting was done, the knights split into three factions, each supporting a different prince. The Knights of Fargus sided with Banfig, Mock with Crawford, and Leicester with Kite. They agreed to divide the kingdom itself into three as well. She despaired that her scheme had failed. Her plan to install her preferred Prince Kite as king was disrupted by one as so banal as Crawford. Now, after innumerable casualties, the three brothers were putting down their weapons. This appears to be a novel retelling of Fargus's history.
So you mean to tell me the sister was the reason this all happened?
Damn, she was greedy as fuck. See you guys in the last video.